Welcome back to the Pushing Buttons podcast, the weekly podcast where we discuss our ideas, concepts, experiences, and opinions within the video game industry. This is Kyle.
This is Robert.
I'm Kevin.
And today we are celebrating quite the monumentous occasion,
Yes,
if I do
we
say
are.
so
Nice.
myself. It's our 26th episode.
Which means half a year, boys.
Six
6
months.
months.
6 months in, 3 more months until our baby comes.
Yeah.
I think that's how math works.
Yeah.
We haven't missed a Tuesday yet, though.
We're doing really good with sticking on schedule.
I'm liking this. We're going to be talking about how we've grown with our affection with this podcast and how much we enjoy doing it, why we're doing it, what we've learned. We're going to be talking quite a bit about Red Dead Redemption 2. And by that I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I'll be listening a lot because I have not
You
played
will.
it. Also, Robert next week will be gone. He is on a blimp, and he will be trying to see how many times he could float around the world before said blimp runs out of blimp juice.
Blimp juice.
Yes. Sticking with that.
Okay then, blimp juice.
Blimp juice.
Is that a Fortnite term?
It's a very rare commodity,
It's
so I can't necessarily refuel. So when it runs out, I'm done.
Let me ask
I'm
you
done.
this. Have you heard of simping on pimp juice? I can't even say it with a straight face. We gonna be sipping on some blimp juice.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
With that being said, how have we all appreciated the last 7 days of life? What have you guys done
I've been
last
very
week?
appreciative of the last 7 days.
Is there anything that you've done in the past 7 days you want to talk about?
Pretty much everything I've done is going to be in the Red Dead part
Okay.
episode. I've been playing a lot of that. I don't think I've done anything else. I've been packing for my blimp trip. A lot.
Did you pack blimp juice?
No, you
No,
get that
I-
while you
yeah.
have to harvest that like on your way to the blimp.
Oh,
It's-
that's why you're going on vacation. Is to get the blimp juice.
Well, it's like when you fill up with gas when you go on a trip. I got to fill up on the blimp juice.
But you have I can't say it with a straight face.
So
This is our second take. Last time I said he was going on a deep sea diving expedition, so the blimp juice thing just came off the top of
well,
my
see, the thing is, when the blimp juice runs out, preferably I will be over in the ocean, and then I'll dive into the ocean, and
so
then
you're
I'll...
taking your snorkeling stuff with you.
Yes, exactly. And that's when I'll find the giant squids.
Speaking of running out of stuff,
Isn't that when you also have to? Isn't that where like blimp juice comes from? It's native to the sea.
yes,
I don't
the
know.
deepest, darkest parts of the ocean.
Hey, Kyle, have you done anything in the last week that you care to share?
wait, that's all you had was Red Dead?
Yeah,
I thought you had other things too.
Red Dead, and I've been packing.
Oh man, you've been busy.
Yeah, it's been a busy week
You're probably
for me.
further in Red Dead than I am.
Oh yeah.
Red Dead takes time.
It really does.
And you haven't played since what, Sunday, you said? And
Yeah,
I've
since
been playing,
I
like, every night,
streamed
so.
it. Yeah, I haven't really done too much video game related. I mean, we did have the Halloween Steam sale.
Mhm.
So I decided to just kind of go crazy and
Throw money at your computer.
yeah, like any Steam sale. And I picked up several games which I intended to stream in the future. I picked one up on your recommendation, which was Cryptid the Necrodancer.
Yeah, you did.
I sure did.
It
And
was fun watching you play that too. It's hard. That game is freaking hard.
it has a learning curve, but
Yes.
once you get a feel for the game and how the enemies, their patterns,
Mhm.
you can really get a flow going.
Uncle Eli tells you about those patterns.
He does. I don't talk to him, so I don't know.
Cadence did, but you didn't.
I see.
Yeah.
But it's groovy. I like it. It is, like something I would call a Zen game.
Your first opinion, first thought of the soundtrack. Go.
It's catchy. I feel like not as memorable as other tracks, but well, I mean, it's Danny B. I mean, he's done great soundtracks before,
Yeah.
like Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy.
Yeah. That Super Meat Boy soundtrack is fantastic.
I haven't had any other experience with the game aside from the first level. where
The first zone.
the first zone, I
Right.
should say.
So there's 3 different songs in that first zone. But when I watched you stream, I saw you play that first level over and over and over again. So you probably heard that same first song over and over again.
Yeah, I mean that's more than likely why I feel like it's not too memorable because I'm used to it.
What's cool though is different characters have different versions of that soundtrack done by different composers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or you can go into the options and set it all to random. And I think at this point there's like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 different versions of each level.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Because
like
I saw
chiptunes versions. There's electronica versions. There's an R&B version. It's fantastic. It's expansive.
because I noticed on the Steam sale they had like DLC for new soundtracks.
Yeah.
So I saw there was like a Danganronpa one, if I'm not mistaken. But that sounded kind of cool.
I don't know if that was a soundtrack. I think or maybe it was because
Maybe it was a bundle.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It
Oh,
was
I'm
the
mistaken. Yeah,
Danganronpa Cryptid.
it was with the
bundle.
games together in one package. Okay.
Yeah. But there are different soundtracks that they have as DLC on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty interesting to play. I've never really had a game as musically challenging or musically driven. That's a better term for it. I mean, I played Guitar Hero. You know this, Kevin. Like, there's a lot of nights,
I know that as well.
Yeah.
and Robert knows this as well, about me
Yes.
and my awesome Guitar Hero nights. But Crypt the Nectar Dancer, it's really hard to stream.
It's hard to split your concentration.
Yeah,
While playing
man,
the
I had to like focus everything on what was in front of me,
Yeah.
and talking was kind of like a backseat. Like I had really hard time doing it.
So a little tip, and you probably figured this out by now, but every time you start a level,
Yeah.
you can just let it sit, and you won't be missing beats until you hit the button the first time.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to like immediately hit a button when you start a level, but you do have the time limit. Once the song is over, the level's over.
Oh, I see. Yeah, how long is the time limit? I don't think it shows it on the screen.
No, just the beats when they turn red. You know,
Yeah.
that's how you know the song's almost over.
Oh, okay. I noticed that they were turning red. I'm like, why is that? And I didn't realize that was the case.
Which means hurry the F up.
Yeah. But aside from that, of course, Red Dead 2. I bought my new Xbox One. X Bros.
Yeah, X Bros.
I'm not getting tired of that.
I've had some difficulty streaming that because I was still working out the kinks of the capture card.
Gets kinky.
But I was able to diagnose the problems, and it's now since gotten better. I'm looking forward to streaming more of that this weekend.
Nice.
But other than that, on an unrelated note to video games, this is our weekly TV segment.
Okay.
Haunting of Hill House. That show is awesome.
Like
It's
I told
scary
you
as hell.
before the podcast, probably even yesterday, my fiance was watching that as well.
It was a show I wasn't really going into with high expectations. But man, it's a damn good show.
Nice.
Like, you would think that it's just,
Too spooky for Robert.
it's,
Definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
definitely too spooky for you. It scared the shit out of me. Like, I jumped, several times.
The weird thing about you, though, is you enjoy the hell out of scary games.
I do, yes.
But you won't go see a movie like The Meg
No.
or Jurassic Park
No.
because those are too scary.
They are. I hate dinosaurs. I'm glad they're extinct. If they were
Yeah,
still
when I had to deal
alive.
with them in my childhood, that was such a pain. But
Hey,
now that they're extinct,
I was traumatized by the first Jurassic Park movie, okay? When that T-Rex came in to the Jeep and the kids were in there,
that could have been me.
that could have been, that was me. I was in the theater.
But you weren't in the Jeep.
But the kid, you have empathy for the kids, and you were a kid. And
Will
it
somebody
was
please think of the children?
the Velociraptors in the kitchen. That shit was scary.
Gosh.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
I was just saying that's interesting how, so it's interesting how you like that show when normally you stay away from scary movies and shows.
I can watch those things from home, but I cannot go into a theater because you are like...
You're in another setting that's unfamiliar to you.
It's like Jaws when you're in the middle of the ocean. You're just left to the devices of the shark.
See, it's interesting because I feel like I'd be better watching something scary in a theater than at
Why?
home.
Why?
Because in the theater, I know I'm in like
A safety
I'm surrounded
zone?
by a safety zone,
Other
a bunch
people?
of people. Lights are going to come on. I can go out in the hallway, and there's a bunch of people. If I'm at home by myself, there could be something in the hallway. There could be something hiding in my closet. You know, I got to keep all the
Oh.
lights on. So, for me, I think it's scarier at home.
I don't agree with that.
That's interesting
just-
perspective.
I see your
my
point
opinion.
of view, but
Yeah.
that does not happen like that for me.
In the
why I
theater,
can't watch
the
scary
sound
stuff.
is louder, the screen's bigger, so I feel like I'm in the movie.
Exactly. Well,
And-
not that I'm in the movie part, but the rest of it.
There was a movie which made me realize I cannot go to the theater for scary movies. It was called Drag Me to Hell.
Heard of that.
That movie scared the shit out of me. I think you were there for it, Kevin.
I was there?
Did you watch that with us?
I don't think so.
Maybe it was a couple of our, acquaintances back then,
Could have been.
but you weren't there.
Yeah. I don't care for horror
But if you were
movies.
there, you'd be like traumatized, like I am.
Anything else this past week?
No.
Well, then I'll continue with the TV and movie segment. I started watching a show.
Yeah.
So what if I
Curious.
told you that it was a show? There's a recurring line where the main character says, "You're going to have to trust me." The main character says...
Sounds like 24.
The main character says... what's the other line? What's the other line that he says a lot?
Line.
I think... Damn it! That's the other one.
That sounds like 24.
It's starring Kiefer Sutherland.
That sounds like 24.
There's a Secret Service agent who's in charge of keeping the president safe, and his first name is Mike.
That sounds like 24.
It's not 24. Designated Survivor.
I've been watching Designated
Yes.
Survivor.
Whoa!
Do I win a prize?
Kyle owes you another alcoholic beverage.
Yes.
On it.
No.
Sit down,
no.
Kyle,
Okay.
if you can. So I wanted to talk to you specifically, Kyle, because you and I watched 24, and we both loved that show at the time.
a great show.
Like, the first 4 seasons were fantastic.
Later seasons were also fantastic.
They were good. Some of them were good.
They
Some
had
of them
good
were
character
bad.
moments.
Designated Survivor feels like 24 too. It really does. It has
Didn't that get canceled?
24 Legacy? Probably.
No, Designated Survivor.
I have no idea.
I thought it got canceled.
It could have.
I
There-
watched the pilot for it.
There are 2 seasons of it, and I'm through season 1, and I watched the first few episodes of season 2. But
Okay.
it even does what 24 does when, you know how I don't remember what season 24 it was, but they did the first couple episodes commercial free back to back.
I remember
And
that.
they said it was all sponsored by Ford, and they had Ford
do
trucks
remember that.
everywhere in the
Yeah.
show, and it would always zoom in on the Ford logo
They don't
whenever
do that anymore, do they?
Designated Survivor did that.
Oh, it did.
I don't know if it did the commercial free thing because it was on a different network.
Mm-hmm.
But they did the thing where I could swear they were getting money from Ford because every time there would be like an FBI agent or a Secret Service agent getting in a vehicle, it
Yeah.
would zoom in on the Ford logo on the back of the truck. The camera shots, everything is 24. It's just missing the beep, beep, beep in between the scenes. It's the only thing it's missing.
Beep bong, beep bong. What's that?
Well, whatever. Either way, it's missing the clock. And there was one scene in particular with the Ford thing where the FBI agent, for no reason, she was going to leave where she was. So she pulls out her phone, gets on her Ford Fusion app, hits the start ignition button, and zooms in on her phone while she's doing it. And then it zooms in on the panel in the car that has the Ford logo.
Shameless.
And then oh my gosh, it was bad.
Shameless.
And then
Wow.
the camera was behind the Ford logo as the car was taking off after that. I was like, yep, this is 24. It's a decent show. I honestly teared up at one point, and it was because in that show there's a president that knows how to talk to their people, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Beyond that, I have not played Red Dead Redemption 2. I have not played very many video games at all because I've been getting over a nasty cold.
Me too, actually.
I did play a little bit of The Binding of Isaac, the original.
Yeah, the Flash version.
The Flash version. I played that. I think that might have even been before the last episode of the podcast, but I was listening to the soundtrack, and I'm like, I want to play this game now. And I played it, and that game's really hard. I probably should have talked
Way
about that
harder
last
than
week.
Rebirth.
I should have talked about that a little bit more last week. But I want to hear about Red Dead Redemption 2. Guys, lay it on me. How is it?
No Kevin's Marvelous Adventures?
Oh, I watched
I've
I've
been waiting all
This
week
is
to hear about
important.
this.
I watched Captain America Civil War, and it was great, and I watched Infinity War, and it was also great.
Yes, sir.
I do want to go into depth on those, but we'll do that in a bonus episode after Robert gets back with his... You got to share some blimp juice with me when you get back, but
Oh, for sure.
we'll be sharing blimp juice and talking about Marvel on a bonus episode. Will not be on a Tuesday. We'll still have our Tuesday video game related episode for at least a half an hour of it, because it's already 15 minutes. We've only talked about TV shows and movies, but yeah.
Totally related.
Anyway, Red Dead Redemption 2, lay it on me. How much am I missing out on? Who wants to
You
go first?
were missing out on a once-in-a-decade movement.
Seems like it.
Well, I mean, it's a Rockstar game.
It's a Rockstar game. Every Rockstar game that comes out,
Has
it's a pivotal moment in gaming history, I would say. Because it pushes the boundaries of what current-gen consoles can do.
That doesn't appeal to me.
Then, more so than that reason, I will argue that you should play it for the fact that it's just a fun game.
That I will not argue.
It's fantastic. I had one goal on that Sunday stream I did. It was to meet all the gunslingers. It took me 5 hours. I loved every freaking second of it.
Nice.
It was an incredible journey because I'm still relatively early in the game. I haven't put a lot of time into it as much as I would have liked to. Work be damned, though. I tried my best to put on my cowboy boots and saddle up. But everybody in the game came up to me and gave me a reason to stop. That's what I love about the game. It's so natural.
Gave you a reason to stop and talk to them. It sounded like it.
No,
the way
you-
you said it gave you a reason to stop playing the game.
The reason why the game is amazing is because it's a living world. Like, you don't think of that in a video game form. But, you know, seeing shows like Westworld and stuff, I mean, you get immersed in the game. And the gang life and, like, taking care of your homies in the gang. And
Posse.
the posse. Like Dutch and all the other side characters whose names I can't remember, even though I should remember.
Yeah.
But just branching out from that gang camp, there's a small town Valentine, there's a small town Rhodes. And there's so many natural things that happen in between them. Like, it's incredible how dynamic it is. Even though I know they're scripted. I know that. But it feels so natural to come across when you're playing the game. Like, there was that moment in the 5-hour journey I had. I ran across the KKK. I stopped 2 looters from opening a safe, and I opened that safe for myself, and I killed them, and took the money for myself. I had bounties on my head. I came across people that were trying to scam me, but I scanned them back. I came across gunslingers, and they didn't want to have anything to do with me, but I made them talk to me. The game is phenomenal. I would say the amount of freedom you have in the game with the gameplay systems that are currently in the game.
Game.
Excuse me. It just feels so natural for a game. You don't think that with other Rockstar games. You know the missions, you know the side activities, you know all that stuff. But as you're going in between all that stuff, these dynamic events happen. And it's so fun. It's incredible.
It does sound exactly the kind of experience that you're after when you play a video
It's so
game.
immersive. Like, I felt like I was the character. Like, I was reacting
it's your second
naturally.
life.
If you watch the stream I did, you see my natural reactions to all these events happening, and it was freaking great. I had so much fun. I didn't even realize how much time was flying by.
Nice.
I've been loving it as well. What I've liked most about it is that it's made me play a lot differently than I've been playing games past couple of years. Because it's been years and years since I played GTA 5 and, years before that, before I played the first Red Dead. And so I've been gotten so accustomed to like the Ubisoft open world game.
Gotcha.
Or, like Fallout 4, that kind of thing, where you have like a list of quests.
There's a checklist in every area.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Sorry.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. But in this one, it really, because I haven't played a Rockstar game in a long time, I really had to slow down, get used to the fact that you do like one mission at a time. Instead of having like a page in your menu of a whole list of missions,
right?
You just go to this little dot on the screen and do that, and then you're in that mission until you're done with it. Instead of I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to swap over to this mission and come back to that.
Would you compare it in that sense, and in that sense alone, to Elder Scrolls? Because that's how I felt playing Skyrim.
You felt you had to finish one.
Well, no, I felt like I didn't have a set thing to do outside of just the main mission. But everything in between was open and was my world to explore. And I got bored.
Oh, this game is all about that.
Okay.
Like, it's all about just doing whatever the hell you want. You can do the missions if you want. Yeah, there's nobody stopping you.
Right.
But for me, the most enjoyment I get from open world games is like going off the treaded path.
Yeah.
Making my own story along the way. And I did that. And I was like, oh my God, this is my dream game.
So what if you don't care for the setting?
Then you shouldn't play the game to begin with.
Okay. Then you're telling me I don't need to buy it.
If you don't like Westerns, then what's the point?
Okay.
I'd say that's fair, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
don't waste your time.
I would love if there was a sci-fi game. Like a
with the same build and mechanics and everything?
Yeah.
I thought we were getting that with Mass Effect, but that turned out to be...
Honestly, yeah, I thought that at least a little bit closer to Dragon Age Inquisition would have even been better.
Yeah.
If it was...
Fantasy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, no. If Mass Effect Andromeda was more like Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, I see.
It would have even been better than it was, but yeah, not to detract from what you guys are saying. Story-wise, how do you guys feel about that so far? Because I've heard that it's the best story Rockstar's done.
I mean, I'm fairly early, so I feel like I don't have a lot to say as much as Robert.
I'm in chapter 3, I think.
I'm still in chapter 2.
I don't know how many chapters there are, but I'm loving it so far. I don't know if it's the best story yet, because I haven't got to any of the conclusions or anything, but I do like the dynamic of you're kind of like on the run constantly. Like you have to move camp, and then the Pinkertons are finding out where you are, other gangs, so you got to move camp again. And right now I'm only at a second camp. I don't know if there's more, but
I'm sure there.
Oh, okay,
probably. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's the best yet, but I like it. I like the different options. Like right now, I don't want to spoil anything for Kyle, but it's a setup that kind of reminds me a lot of like, have you ever seen the old Clint Eastwood movie?
I have not.
It's A Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah, the trilogy.
Yeah, you know how he like plays the two families against each other?
Oh, okay.
There's something a little like that in there where I'm playing now, and it feels kind of like a homage to that. And I love that.
Nice.
But yeah, I like all the... One of my favorite parts of the first Red Dead was all the stranger missions, just the random
That's the best part.
quests.
Yeah. That's the best.
And all the ones I've played so far are pretty great. Like yesterday, I just captured a serial killer. And it was one of the most like disturbing quest lines I've played in a game. Like
so exciting.
The end of it actually got me. Like I had like chills when I was like at the end of it. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is creepy." As
I
heck.
can't wait. Oh, I love.
And,
Sorry.
yeah, so that stuff, the details is fantastic. I've been doing a little more, like I said, more story stuff than Kyle. So I'll do a couple missions, and then I'll go out and do some side things or go hunting or whatever, and then I'll come back, do some missions. And I've been playing as a good person. Because I have a hard time.
A good person, Robert.
I went to a homestead or like a cattle ranch, and I shot the guy, and then he has like two boys came out, and I shot them, and then they had some slaves, and they were witnesses. They were running away, so I had to shoot them.
Yeah.
And I just felt so horrible, so I reloaded my game right before that.
Oh, you can't do
Robert.
that.
You make a mistake in the game, you stand by that mistake.
Well,
you make
I
up
wasn't
for
going to, but I had to restart it.
I mean, let's not, play it up any. I feel like the only time you can reload is if you decide to test out the systems of the game. So, for example, I rode into Valentine. I caused chaos.
it.
Yeah, I saw
Just to
that.
see what you could do.
Yeah, the dynamite, throwing it in the saloon, everybody's blowing up, and you're like, woohoo! But that's the only case I would reload.
But there was a reason why I had to reload. I think I died or something, but I decided not to, even though I respawned like right there at the farm. I was like, no, this time I'm just gonna let him be. It wasn't very much good loot anyways, so.
All right, guys. Well, chat me up. How's the combat feel?
The gameplay is amazing.
Wait for it.
When you say the gameplay, that's a wide, that's a broad generalization. What do you mean?
It is such a broad term to apply because there's so many different unique systems of gameplay in the game. That you got combat, you got horse riding.
He was specifically asking about combat, though.
Right. Back on topic.
I'm just curious. I'm just going from bullet point to bullet point, pretty much, because I want to know as much about this
Combat
game.
is visceral. You have such a wide array of weapons to select from for your carnage, or just to enact lawful justice.
You can Paragon Renegade.
You could lasso somebody, hog tie them, whatever. You could throw them on the railroad tracks for all you care.
Yeah.
But you can also just whip out your gun. You could just aim it up into the sky and shoot off a warning shot. You could basically dictate the course of events that follow when you pull out your gun. That's what I love about the game, is that when you use your weapon as a tool to enact or enable your voice in the game, the NPCs will react to that. So you have combat where if you pull out your gun, people will flee or whatever, but some people will choose to attack you. And the gunplay just feels so good.
So it's a little bit more dynamic than the first one.
Oh, by far. Yeah. There's way more you can do with your gun in this game.
Okay.
Like, it's not just about combat. It's also about, like, your morality. Like, you're playing the good cowboy. And you can use your gun to ward off people by threatening them, or you can just choose not to engage in that altogether.
I choose not to engage.
Yeah, exactly.
How does the combat feel, though?
I did get robbed twice yesterday, though. And
Sounds like
I shot them dead.
It's satisfying.
It is satisfying. There's something about just plugging someone with a headshot or like winging them or something and having a realistic like ragdoll effect instead of just having a bullet sponge that's like Call of Duty or whatever.
Right.
Like just, using your Deadeye and just getting like all the shots lined up and just seeing everyone.
It's like VATS.
When I played the first Red Dead Redemption, I did find satisfaction in the Deadeye system. And I've talked about this before. I can't use a controller to aim worth a crap. But the Deadeye, it's like VATS. It felt like my character was more badass than I was able to be without that system.
Yeah.
And I've taken it. It feels pretty much the same way in Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
It does. You can also use it in the dueling portion of the game, too. Where you charge up... I mean, that was kind of tricky, though. For me, anyway. Because as I was doing my gunslinger quest...
Mm-hmm. Well, they had that in the first game, too. It's a different button this time, but like the same concept where it slows down, like when you're in a duel, like a one-on-one thing. And you have to pull, like, this time it's the right trigger, and you got to pull it slowly, but then get it up fast enough before they get the shot.
Giggity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was getting the hang of that is kind of tricky.
It's a bit of a learning curve, but
for me, shooting on horseback has kind of been unwieldy for me. Been having a hard time with that.
Okay, I can.
It's like trying to, because the damn physics in the game and like running into people and stuff. If you like knock someone over with your horse, they're gonna be pissed off and go cry to the sheriff.
Right.
So like even like greeting someone, you hold down the left trigger to greet them, say, "Hey, partner, how's it going?"
If you've got your gun
and
out,
then
you're pointing your gun at them.
Well, not even that, but like, so you do that and you're trying to follow them, but then you're not controlling the horse, and so your horse is just going to hit someone in front of you. So while you're greeting somebody, he hits someone else, and they're like, so that's been kind of annoying for me, is when I'm looking at something on the side, but the horse is still
That is funny.
Yeah,
I can see that.
unwieldy.
There's several times where I'll pull up the menu. Like, for me, that's the clunkiest thing about the game is the quick menu when you hold down the trigger. And trying to figure out, like, how to navigate it. Because you have so many different panes for that quick menu. Like, selecting your horse and your items. And even within that wheel, there's items within items that you have to, select.
I haven't had a problem with that.
It took some getting used to, along with the core system. Because you were
having... I had to teach you how to...
You taught me how to
That's
pay attention to my cores.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one of the very few detractors I have from it. Is I'm not a fan of, like, micromanaging in games where, like, I never played San Andreas that much because I wasn't a fan of you have to, like, feed yourself, you have to keep yourself under weight and all that. That doesn't interest me at all, and there's a level to that in this game, not to that extreme, I don't think. Because I didn't play it that much, but you can't, like, fail or anything because you haven't eaten, but you'll be underweight and your stats might, you won't regen your health as fast or whatever. And so you have, like, your bar of health, but then the middle of that is, like, the core of it, and that can deplete too, and that if it's low, your health doesn't regenerate as fast and all that.
Gotcha.
So there's a certain level to micromanaging that. It's kind of, now, since I've played it, like 30 hours, I've got it down, so I never have to worry about it too much, but it took a while to get used to.
On the topic of micromanagement, how do you guys feel about micromanagement in the game, the chores in that game, like taking care of your horse? I've heard a lot of complaints, or read a lot of complaints, I should say, about the animation times when it comes to, like, skinning an animal, or how many
I love
check marks you have to hit in that to get the
skinning animations are great.
They are.
I would get so annoyed with that because
You feel like you'd want to see it once, and then after that, you just want it to go quickly.
exactly.
But
I
this
could see
is this is the thing about the game, though. It's designed to keep you in that world immersive.
It doesn't sound fun. It sounds.
But that's the joy of the game for me. I feel like I can live in this world as Arthur Morgan and just experience every detail. It's not exact of the time it's replicating.
Right.
But I get a feel for that. Like, one of my favorite shows is Westworld. And I love season
You may have
1.
mentioned that once or twice.
I love season 1 because it's like it shows you the details of the park, and season 2 kind of took a sharp left turn into all sorts of unrelated stuff to the park itself. But I feel like this is the closest thing we're going to get to having that park in Westworld. It's the closest thing. I would go to Westworld every day if I could, like the Man in Black, if I wanted to.
So
Learning
it's
some
a very
things.
very Kyle game.
It is a very Kyle game.
See, it doesn't seem like. Sorry to cut you off. It doesn't feel like. It doesn't sound like it's a game. It sounds like it's a second life. It sounds like something you spend hours and hours and hours of your day doing stuff that doesn't matter, that doesn't add to anything, and that kind of describes some people's outlook on video games, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying like the monotonous stuff in that, like watching those animations and having to maintain your horse and that level of detail that's in that game. That for me, it doesn't do anything. In fact, it detracts from the game and makes me not want to play it, knowing how much is in that. When a game like Breath of the Wild, with its micromanagement, and it had far less in it than Red Dead Redemption 2 does, it drew me away. I can't play Breath of the Wild.
That's fair. For me, like I said, it hasn't been a problem. I think probably because I haven't played a game like this in so long. And I'm a huge fan of the Western genre. It's probably one of my... It's like top 3 favorite genres.
Nice.
Gotcha. Across all medias. But so I've been loving it. I can definitely see your point. And I think a certain part of that is, like I said, it's not super necessary. So you can definitely go around skipping a lot of that stuff, and you're not going to be super hurt by it. Like him. His cores were all red. He didn't even know. But he was still playing the game just fine. So you can ignore certain stuff like that. And I don't think it would have a huge impact on you. You might notice a little, but...
That's good to know, at least.
Yeah. I mean, you can't change animations, but...
Right.
Yeah.
They should at least make them skippable. Like I loved the cooking animation.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had an update in the future that made them skippable. I wouldn't be surprised.
I loved the cooking in Breath of the Wild, but that got annoying after a little bit. And
Well,
you could skip that.
you could skip it, yeah.
Yeah, at least you could skip that. With as far as right now goes with Red Dead Redemption 2, you can't skip any of that stuff.
I mean, it was just so awesome to play a poker game and see every step along the way. You don't really get that anymore.
I still have not played poker. I haven't played any mini games yet. No, sorry, I did play dominoes.
I mean, I could have skipped
Liar.
the dealing of the hams, which I did. But, I mean, there was a time where I didn't skip those animations. I just felt so into the game. Like, I wanted to feel the moment for my stream, and I feel like I accomplished that.
I got you.
Yeah.
It-
I definitely don't think you'd get half the enjoyment out of it that Kyle and I do.
No, I know that. That's why I didn't. That's why I hadn't been excited
like-
for the game.
My philosophy on open world, like, you make it your own story. You don't just blindly follow what the developer wants you to follow. It's meant to be lived in. That's what makes it enjoyable.
Yeah, for me, they have to put something that's fun for me to enjoy living there, and I don't find fun in the same stuff and that kind of stuff. For me, it feels monotonous,
Well, I can get that.
and I know I'm. With almost every episode, I'm very. My opinion is very, very unpopular.
Minority.
Yeah, I understand that fully, and I'm.
We don't look
well
down on
aware.
you for it.
No,
We embrace you for it.
I wish that I would at least get one piece of hate mail. That would just make me feel so vindicated. You know, like, you talk so much crap about Breath of the Wild and Red Dead Redemption 2, and they're the greatest games. I just want one.
You hear that, guys? He's begging you to send him hate mail. Come on.
Come on, Kevin at pushingbuttonspodcast.com. Just
You
do
can
it.
send me all the love mail if you want.
What do I get?
You get it too.
Mediocre, medium
Oh, we
mail.
both
You get medium mail.
Okay. The average mail. I can handle that.
Well, you are going away on vacation.
That's true.
It's true.
You gotta send. You need a pen pal.
I wouldn't call blimping a vacation, but
Blimping, big blimping. Sipping on
Big
that blimp.
plimpin', spinach and cheese.
No blimps in Red Dead, I take it?
no blimps. No,
At least not that you've seen yet.
no. There it could. I hear there's UFOs though.
Nice. That's a Rockstar thing.
Yeah.
It is.
I hope there's a Sasquatch. I hope someone finds him.
There will
and
be.
I hope there will be.
There was one in Red Dead Redemption.
Wasn't that just in the zombie DLC though that they introduced it?
Red Dead Nightmare.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good point. I think that was. You're correct.
I want to see Sasquatch.
You know, that's one thing I wish I'd played was the Nightmare one.
That was a
I
great
I never got
DLC.
to play- I never
great
played it either,
DLC.
yeah.
I
I
loved
could have
it.
played it, but I never
Yeah.
did. It was one of those things like, yeah, one day I'll play it. And I just-
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are missing out. That was fun.
Any-
Because you get not only like, the 4 horsemen mounts, like the 4 horses, as your personal horses,
Right.
with their own special abilities. Like there's one that's on fire, and if there's a zombie, it'll come up to
Oh,
you.
there's
It'll
horses
just
on
go
fire in this game too.
Oh my god, I've seen the montage videos.
Oh yeah,
That's
dude.
great. That leads me to the last thing that I'm specifically going to ask you guys about. Have you come across any amazing bugs that you want to share with us?
Kyle, for a fact,
I did.
has. I have not, sadly.
Oh,
On our
I
Twitch
know.
channel, Pushing Buttons P,
that's not right at all.
Pushing Buttons
That's our
podcast.
Twitch.tv/pushingbuttons.
Twitch.tv/Pushing Buttons.
Is that the one that you stream on?
Yes, correct. I totally know what I'm talking about.
Go on.
The highlight is on there. You should check
Yes, I discovered a glitch. I was about to jump into 5-Finger Fillet, and the game became unresponsive. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And all of a sudden, you just see him falling through the ground, and he's just like wailing, like, "Wah!"
Found a portal is what you did.
I found a portal into the camp. He teleports to the camp. Bill's there. He's like, hey, partner, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I got a hernia, Bill. Help me. I can't move. And he just walks along like it's nothing. And I'm just like, I still can't move. So I had to reload. That's the one time I had to reload my game. It was awful.
Now, I've been waiting to find some, but not yet.
But speaking of horses on fire, there is a moment in particular I want to talk about. It was completely organic, natural experience.
Organic.
I was just finished with the 2 safe robbers that I plunged into hell. And I robbed them of their booty. And
Giggity.
I sent one of them to, whatever the closest town was at the time on a carriage because he was dead. And I wanted to prove I was successful, so I threw the dead body on there and smacked the horse away by shooting my gun. But anyway, I came across something incredible. There was a point where I was traveling on a road, and these bandits came, and they were, trying to shoot at me and stuff. I just took a random shot out of the blue, and it hit their lantern on the horse. The horse went on fire, dude. It was incredible. I was like, oh, crap. I'm trying really hard not to swear.
I noticed that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It was incredible to see the horse and the guy on the horse just be cast into flames. It was so incredible.
Back to hell, ye.
Oh, you
I
must
just
have
was
some
like,
dark dreams.
holy crap. I was stunned at how awesome that was. Like, it was a totally random bullet. I didn't even aim. I did a hip fire.
It's like my grenade in black.
Yeah, exactly. It was just completely out of the blue, unexpected. And the horse, I actually got off my horse. I went to the horse on fire. I looked at it and the guy on the horse, and they were charred alive. And I was like, holy crap, this game is incredible.
Delicious.
The detail. It
Yeah,
feels
could
like
you get any meat from it?
no.
It was not a pristine horse.
But that's what makes the game so great, is like little things like that, which you've seen on Twitter and stuff.
That
with
kind of stuff
I've been
I would
watching
have
lots
fun
on
with.
Twitter.
exactly.
That kind of stuff
That's
would
what I'm
be-
trying to appeal to, is that randomness.
That's the part that would make me actually want to try it. But
The
Just a
detail,
sandbox element of it.
the details of the game can provide that anchor for you to enjoy the game.
closing thoughts before we move on.
Game of the year. For me. By far.
I mean, say it's my favorite game of the year from what I played. I haven't played God of War. I don't know if that would change after I played that.
Kyle's played both, and he says Red Dead's better.
That's Kyle.
That's true.
You want my opinion, don't you?
I do.
That's why we're asking.
But I know. But yeah, right now it's definitely my favorite game of the year. I don't know if I would ever give any game a 10 or a perfect score like other outlets, but it's definitely a very high game for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Glad that you guys are having fun. I really am.
Thank you.
Speaking of that, though, I do want to announce right here, right now. We talked about it this morning before the podcast, but the week before Christmas, so that would be December 18th, the Tuesday. Yeah, that's a Tuesday. The podcast that goes up that day will be our Game of the Year list. We will come up with a list, and it's not going to be each of us giving our games of the year. It's going to be an amalgam of all three of us creating a list and scoring that list, and from 10 to 1 will be our favorite games collectively.
Of the year.
And the
Of
thing
2018.
of 2018 of the year. And I think the thing that will set this apart from most other Game of the Year lists is that because this is three people and it's specifically us, I can't think of a single game that all three of us have played this year.
No,
That
not,
came out
not a
this
single
year.
one. No.
Like we talked about with Red Dead, that was just Kyle and Robert. With Spider-Man, that was me and Robert. God of War was me and Kyle. So who knows what's going to happen?
It's free for all.
It's
Yeah.
going to be an intense cage match.
I think it's going to be fun.
I think so.
Intense cage matches can be fun. I like
And intimate.
wrestling. Yeah. But this is our 6-month anniversary with this podcast here, Pushing Buttons. Thank you for being
Amazing.
around for these 6 months. We appreciate you. We do. We love you. And
Very much.
when we started this podcast, it was an idea that we've all talked about. We've talked about it for the last year or so before we started. I
it
think
was roughly a year.
we talk about video games, and I think we even mentioned this in the first episode. We talk about video games all the time at work, and wanted an outlet to be able to share it with other people and just each other on a regular basis. And that's what this has been. And There's sometimes when I talk about editing the podcast and I gotta timestamp that swear and make it sound like a chore, but I love it. It's fun. I don't care that we don't get paid to do this because I enjoy it.
It's an animation that you like.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I wish I wasn't so nasally right now and so congested.
What are you
But
talking about?
this is how I always sound. Yeah. I've learned patience, I think, since this podcast has started. I noticed that I'm not always the most patient, and I am kind of hard-headed when it comes to things. Behind the scenes, we ask each other, or I ask Kyle and Robert, like every day to every week, what are we going to talk about on the podcast next week? This is going to be super behind the scenes. What are we going to talk about on the podcast next week? And right now, Kyle and I are having this discussion about next week when Robert's going to be sipping on blimp juice.
Absolutely.
We don't know what we're doing yet for the podcast next week.
It'll hit us like a lightning bolt in Red Dead Redemption.
It
Out of the blue.
That's the funniest thing, because there have been, I think, probably 7, 8, maybe even 9 or 10 episodes now that we just thought of the episode and changed it like the day of. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And we record it and kind of sound like we know what we're talking about.
For the most part.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I am curious, because I have a hard time going back and thinking about prior episodes unless I go and look at a list. Mm-hmm. Are there any episodes or moments in those episodes that stand out to you guys as your favorites? Because this has been a podcast of... There's been some ups and downs in 26 episodes, and I know 26 isn't a lot, but it's been enough for me to talk a lot. That's for sure.
You know, looking back, I think the one moment that we can all take for granted is the first episode.
You only get your first one once.
Yeah, and listening back, I actually listened to it again.
How long ago?
This week.
Really?
I did, to prepare for this moment.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta say, like, this whole process has really helped me find my inner voice. Not just here in this group dynamic, but at work too. Like, it's really helped me find my balls.
That's where they are.
There they are.
You know, I feel more confident in my voice, and I feel like it's attributed to me taking that extra leap into streaming.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed that.
Like, I've always wanted to do that. Like, since I watched 4-Player Podcast back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, it'd be so fun to take a close group of friends and just play games together. I mean, granted, I don't really do that on my streams, but it helped me put myself out there and not think twice about it. Like, I was always thinking, like, oh, crap, like, I really don't want to come across as, you know, such and such, like, unpopular. But I just don't care. I just do it.
Just be yourself. That's what it's all
myself.
about.
And that's what this podcast did for me.
So this is going to be an awkward segue, but it wouldn't be a pushing button celebration without an unexpected computer crash that I thought deleted everything we've already recorded, but it didn't.
We lucked out big time.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the first episode of the podcast, and all of a sudden
we get our first error.
Oh crap! This is going to be the last episode of the podcast because I was so upset.
We got our first technical failure of the show.
So Kyle got pretty angry. I was sad, and I realized this podcast does mean a lot to me.
Aww.
It really does, though. I'm not just saying that. This podcast gives me an outlet to talk to you guys after work hours and just sit down. Exactly. Relax, talk about stuff that we love rather than stuff that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is. And Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever!
This podcast is everything for us right now.
Yeah.
Outside of
it means a lot.
It's getting us through
and stuff. Yeah. I hope that the people that do listen to this, I hope that you enjoy it as much as we do, because God, we put our hearts into this. Mm-hmm. I don't know if even Kyle and Robert fully understand what I do it takes me hours.
Yes. I can imagine.
And
I hear you.
And
Yes.
with so much limited time, time's so limited, I should say, with our 40-hour work weeks, and God, I don't know what I'd do without this podcast. I'd probably just play a lot of video games and sit
Honestly,
quietly
it's why I
and
show
talk.
up to work every day.
Specifically on Fridays.
Every day of the week, man.
I show up this other day, so it's
Counting
not...
down till Friday afternoon.
Exactly. Pounding those beers back, and
So this podcast helped you find your voice, Kyle.
yes, it did.
It's given me something to live for, apparently, by the way I'm talking about it. What has this podcast done for you, Robert? How do you think about it?
For me, I think it's given me just time to hang out, like outside of home, work and home, which is how it was always for me years before. It's just being able to spend time with you guys, talk about things that, I don't really talk about with anyone else. Can't talk to my wife about it.
Right.
My daughter, she's 2, so she's not a...
She'll listen, but...
Yeah, she's not a... She can't go in depth on the games yet, so she'll get there. But
Well, Dad, the mechanics of the lasso.
I'm not looking forward to the day when she can outplay me. But
I give it 6 years.
right,
6.
but yeah, for me, it's and kind of being an outlet for all the creativity I had over the years for wanting to start my own stuff, and just never having the drive to go all the way with it, or the time, or the creativity. And so it's kind of like a wish fulfillment for me of actually doing something that's more than myself,
So you guys know this about me, Kyle and Robert, that I always have these harebrained schemes of, oh my gosh, we should do this.
Yeah.
This would be so great. And I've always done that. My entire life I've done that. I've done that with creating video games. Like, oh my god, it'd be so great to be able to make my own indie game, even if it didn't make money, just to be able to do it. Anything. And this is the first thing that I felt like I was actually able to follow through with, because I had the support.
Mm-hmm.
And because I spent a lot of money on equipment and on website stuff.
we
and-
appreciate
Likewise,
that.
it was your endeavor that brought us into putting our own feet forward,
yeah.
and
You got Kyle
taking
to
a
invest money.
taking a
That's true.
risk. Like I've already invested somewhat in streaming,
Yeah.
and I'd love to do more of that in the future.
You spent more money on streaming hardware than I have on streaming hardware. Like you
Really?
you bought a Blue Yeti microphone.
You did too, though.
I also have one, but
Yeah.
I don't have the fancy mount or the
Oh, I see.
any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'd love to get into the streaming game someday, but my current living conditions would not warrant that.
Yeah,
It's understandable.
it's hard
Yeah.
with having a 40-hour a week job that turns into like a 45 to 50-hour a week job. That's anytime that you're away from here, you want to spend with your loved ones, and that's kind of how my life is too, and Kyle as well.
Yeah, props to them, by the way, for supporting us. in
Yes,
this,
yes.
Up to this point.
Honestly, yes. Don't
Yes.
know where we would be without them. Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I'd get the green light to stream, but my girlfriend has been so awesome, like encouraging me to do more of this.
That's great.
And man, I just really want to take it to the next level with her beside me.
Nice.
And yeah, with you guys too, beside me.
I'd love to be beside you.
You guys are sitting next to each other right
We
now.
are always beside. Yeah, this is something you don't know actually. Kevin is on one side of the table.
I sit alone.
Kyle and I face Kevin and give him looks when he's saying stuff we don't.
We're on the other side.
I'm essentially the moderator of this podcast
Yes.
because I'm
Yeah.
editing it and I put it together and I kind of get the feel of the flow of the episode and I know how to. I've got an eye on the timer at all times.
You're our fearless leader.
Yeah, fearful, especially when I think I lose nearly 50 minutes of
Oh god, that was
recording.
terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
We'll look back on this someday and
Have a
like,
beer
look at that
over
little
it.
hiccup. Yeah.
So where do you guys see this podcast going? Because I
Is this a
visualize.
job interview?
Where do you see?
Where do we see this in
podcast
5
in 6
years?
months? Okay, 5 years, whatever. No, when we started this podcast, I envision this as a live show with a camera and with an interactive audience. And I still have goals and aspirations of it getting to that point. At some point, once we're able to... I really wish we had the camera right now. What Robert's doing to his hair is fantastic.
Oh, you guys wish you had the camera too.
But if we had even a portable set that we could take to work with us on Fridays and set up, I think it would be awesome. It would add a lot more time to my editing. But
that's what I would love. I'd love to have because that's the stuff I like to watch mostly, is stuff that has the visual component. So
I think that's the challenge of us getting attention right now. Is not only is there not really any way of putting a podcast out there and having it immediately gain attention.
So much competition. Too.
Exactly. It's there's a lot of other podcasts from people that actually know what they're talking about. Unlike us, that this entire show is based on our ideas and opinions and experiences and concepts. But I think there's stuff we can do in the meantime to add value to what people watch daily. There are, like, I've had Let's Play ideas and stuff, because I used to do Let's Plays on my personal YouTube channel for a while and never gained any traction, but it was a lot of fun. And I think with the podcast, to keep people around to listen, it would be something enjoyable and overall worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. I know networking has a lot to do with it, too.
Yeah.
We need to step up our game.
Our Twitter game, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Twitter, Reddit, even. Reddit would be
Discord,
a good place.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like we really need to look forward in those departments.
Discord I see as something when people are actually wanting to talk to us. Kind of like Patreon. I know at some point Patreon's going to be a part of our strategy and able to keep this podcast moving forward and to potentially at some point do stuff like this full time. Mm-hmm. I know Patreon's going to play a big part in that, and Twitch as well. I kind of see the Discord falling in line with that.
Okay.
It is definitely something that will happen and should happen.
Mm.
But it's just, when do you implement those things?
Mm-hmm.
Naturally.
Yeah.
As time goes forward.
We started with just the podcast. I threw up that little Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast video, which is
Seemed
one
like
of
so
our
long ago now.
One of the videos on our YouTube channel that has the most views at like 23 or something like that.
Really? Wow.
You
know, something I wanted to bring up, our most viewed episode, I think, is the open world discussion.
No, episode 1. The first episode of anything is always the most viewed, and that's true with our podcast as well.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't help that we also started off the podcast on SoundCloud, and only on SoundCloud, before I got the RSS feed through CastBox.
And being almost 2 hours long.
Right, yeah, that first episode was
really
an hour
long.
And 50 minutes long.
We're working on that.
Yeah. He's
got a lot better.
Typically around an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes is always been my goal. But this episode might go a little long at this point, because it's already been nearly an hour. But I see us getting bigger on YouTube. Not bigger, but having more stuff on YouTube for people to enjoy watching. And then hopefully that'll get people to care about our concepts and experiences and ideas and opinions.
Yeah.
And stick around and be able to go to CastBox and iTunes and Google Music or Google Podcasts or whatever the Google thing is.
Google Play.
Yeah, Google Play and TuneIn and stuff like that. And I think TuneIn's for Amazon, like the Echo, Alexa. I think that's TuneIn. I think that's what she goes through, Alexa.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm going to test this. I don't have an Amazon Echo, but if anybody listening to this does, Alexa, play Pushing Buttons podcast. And I want to hear how that went. Let me know. But yeah, Kyle taking over the Twitch channel has been great. Kyle has this magnetic personality that I can't even explain.
I never even knew I had it prior to doing that.
I don't understand where that came from.
I had no idea. You've known me for so long.
It's always been a part of you. And I can't live up to that. I feel
like you could, if you found the inner beast.
I feel like me being able to do like the pre-recorded and produced content on YouTube
That makes sense.
adds something to what we do, then maybe that's the direction I'll go, with the intention of streaming too. At some point, I want to do pre-show and post-shows live.
What do you mean by pre-show and post-show?
Like if we ever record the podcast live
Yeah.
for people that are either subscribers on Twitch or patrons of a certain level,
Oh, they get exclusive access to
they can
us.
ask us questions before and or
Oh.
after the podcast. That's something that I've
That'd
been
be fun.
super
It's
interested
like,
in.
our significant others. You could be like them.
Get to know us, like the dark and dirty sides of us. And I'm not talking just
Yeah.
about butts.
Like our girlfriends or wives and the stuff they know, you can also know.
You could.
Never
Just
know
have
till
to
you
give
ask.
us money at that point.
They'll be throwing their money at us.
I have learned that putting everything aside and just doing it is what it took. Is what it continues to take. And I don't regret it.
For me, I feel like it's effortless.
Well, you talk for about an hour a week and then you call it a night.
For us, it is fairly effortless. Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
It's not the hardest thing in the world for me.
this charge that we're setting forth on, I feel the momentum. I feel like it's only going to get better.
Nowhere to go but up.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. It's exciting to think about that way, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you guys one thing.
Okay.
What's your favorite episode we've recorded so far?
There's been so many.
Did I ask that before or after the computer froze?
I think you asked it before.
I think it was before.
And we
then
didn't
we
really
got- we-
answer it.
no,
yeah.
we
I was
kinda went
kind of
off.
getting there,
Yeah.
and then it cut. But you guys didn't answer.
I don't know if I have. I'd have to think a while about a favorite, but I do distinctly remember the fan casting episode. That has a soft
the
spot in my
movies.
heart
The
because
movies,
I love movies and shows and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, we actually saw Henry Cavill as Geralt now.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's weird.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I really enjoyed the episode where we tried selling each other on different video games.
Oh, that was good too.
It was a different viewpoint on talking about games and like trying to personalize it for each other.
And how much
enjoyed
I
that a
failed
lot.
to sell you on a game.
I failed miserably myself. So.
And I did better than
I
I
played
thought.
Crypt
and
of the
actually almost sold
Necrodancer.
you guys
Oh, that
on
is
Forza.
true. You did play.
I
Crypt of the
did,
Necrodancer.
and I'm going to play Forza. I'm going to buy it.
You gonna get it Black Friday?
Yes,
$35?
I do. I want to play it.
Heck yeah.
But you guys have not played what I pitched to you. I failed miserably.
Well, you said Dead Space, didn't you? And you played that for us on Twitch.
Was it Alien that you suggested for me?
That's what Kevin wanted me to recommend to him.
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay. I forget what you recommended.
What was I trying to recommend to you?
So long ago.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Was it Ace Attorney?
You did talk about that one for a little bit, but
I don't
that
think
was
you
that was
recommended
the Guilty
this.
Pleasures episode, which was another great episode that you talked
That
about.
was a good one, yeah.
No, Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, Phoenix Wright.
Ace
Yeah.
Attorney, yeah.
Yes.
And you talked about the hint coins. That was probably my favorite segment in any of our shows, honestly.
Boom, boom, bong.
Kyle talking about his
My save state exploitation
strategy.
methods.
save state / hint coin / walkthrough exploit, and he had to always go back and load the save file to get those hit coins back, and then just go through the walkthrough, and then felt accomplished in the meet. Oh my god, gold,
Yeah.
Jerry, gold.
There we go. There we go.
Well, after the scare of thinking we lost everything, and it's been a little over an hour now,
Almost
we've gushed
died.
about ourselves for enough. I think it's time to end this
My pulse
show.
has gone down now, so.
Robert can go on vacation now.
Yes, he's got to get that blimp
Lay
juice.
his
Tell you,
little
man,
head
it's
to
not a
rest.
vacation. It's hard work getting blimp juice. It's hard out here for a blimp.
I really do hope that you guys listening that you enjoy this. I really do, because we enjoy recording this.
We have fun.
Yeah.
Every week.
Let us know, please. Just Let us know what your favorite part of any episode was. Do you enjoy us? Do you want us to stop altogether? We're not going to, though. Do you want to see more produced content on YouTube? I'm willing to do that. I have to. It's a time commitment that I don't know if I'm going to always be able to commit to.
More streams, maybe?
Streams as well from me or Kyle, or
Absolutely.
Kyle or me, or maybe
Don't forget the
Robert.
hate mail to Kevin.
Hate mail.
Yeah.
Kevin at pushingbuttonspodcast.com. I check that email about once every month. So I might have some now that I haven't looked at yet. It's so hard because I got to go to our website and do the... Nobody goes to our website. I don't go to our website except to update it with the latest video. We have no value on the website. That's one thing that we need to look at.
That's what we can improve on, yes.
We can improve on.
Excuse me.
Get some merch.
Improve on.
Get some merch.
Merch would be great. Where are those stickers at, Robert?
Oh, man, I forgot about those.
It's funny. I was actually just talking to my friend about those today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Stickers would be fantastic.
So what's the word? We getting those?
Soon.
Okay.
Whenever I raise the capital to acquire them.
Fancy.
Yes. Trying to make it not so crass.
Stay tuned.
However you're listening to us, thank you for listening to us. We
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Appreciate
Hit us
your
up-
support.
Hit us up on Twitter. Just give us a thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever on Twitter, on YouTube. Twitter at PushingButtonsP. YouTube, we don't have a YouTube URL yet, but pushingbuttonspodcast.com, we'll have the link there. Keep up with Kyle's streaming at twitch.tv/pushingbuttons. Maybe
Very
I'll be there
entertaining.
at some point. Kyle's awesome. He's meant for streaming. I think
That is a huge compliment.
I think he's meant for it.
Thank you.
His personality is just, it's there.
Just don't let young children be within earshot.
This
Or use
podcast is
headphones.
edited.
Yeah,
I
make
can't
sure to
edit
hit that
him
mature
live.
content authorization button. Make sure you read all the terms of acknowledgement. Terms of acceptance.
Not sure how next week is going to go without Robert. I think it'll go fantastic. We just don't know
You guys will
what
do
we're
good.
talking about yet, but we'll get there.
We'll figure it
I'll
out.
be excited to listen to it.
We'll be
While in
excited to
Mexico.
hear all about your...
Yes.
You just dropped the ball. You just told them where he's going.
Cut.
I'm not cutting this. You're going to tell us about your Mexico journey, though, aren't you?
I will.
I'm
Of course.
excited to hear that.
He's like John Marston crossing the border in Red Dead
There we
Redemption.
go.
Until next time, thank you for listening to us.
Adios.
Good night.
Love you all.